In the shadowed halls of King's Landing, Stannis Baratheon ascended the steps to the Iron Throne, his eyes burning with righteous fire. "The gods have willed it," declared Stannis, his voice echoing through the chamber as he sat upon the twisted swords. "My king," replied, "Davos, rising slowly, the realm bends to your will now, but whispers of dragons stir in the east." "The Lord of Light guides you," Stannis said Melisandre, her hand touching his arm. Flames dancing in the braziers around them. "We must secure the north," First Stannis commanded, pointing to Winterfell on the map, his generals nodding in agreement. Meanwhile, at the wall, Jon Snow received ravens bearing news of Stannis' victory, his face etched with concern. "Stannis is king." Jon muttered to Samwell Tarly, crumpling the parchment, but the dead marched south regardless. "What do we do, Jon?" asked Sam, his voice trembling as the wind howled through the icy battlements. "We fight," replied Jon Snow, charging into the fray against a White Walker Valyrian steel clashing with ice. Back south, Stannis led his forces to Winterfell, determined to crush the Boltons and claim the north for his rule. "You think you can take my home?" sneered Ramsay, watching the approaching army from the ramparts. "For the one true king," shouted Stannis, charging forward as arrows rained down from the Bolton lines. "Press on, men!" called Davos, rallying the soldiers amidst the chaos of clashing steel and screams. The Red Priestess summoned fire that engulfed the Bolton flanks, turning the tide in Stannis' favor. With Winterfell fallen, Stannis stood in the Great Hall, declaring, "The North is mine," and with it, the 7 kingdoms. "You've avenged my family," said Sansa Stark, approaching cautiously, her eyes meeting the new king's. "Join me," Lady Stark replied Stannis, "and we'll rebuild what the Lannisters destroyed." Far across the narrow sea, Daenerys Targaryen heard of Stannis' ascension, her dragons roaring in the skies above Meereen. "This Baratheon sits on my throne," declared Daenerys, turning to Tyrion Lannister. "What say you, imp? He's a man of duty." "Your Grace," replied Tyrion, "but duty won't stop your dragons from melting that ugly chair." "Then we sail for Westeros," said Daenerys, climbing atop Drogon, the beast's scales glistening in the sun. "May the gods help us all," muttered Tyrion, as the dragon lifted into the air, heading west. At the wall, Jon Snow faced the growing threat. "The Night King comes," he warned the brothers. "Hold the line!" shouted Jon, slashing through undead hordes, his breath visible in the freezing air. A raven arrived for Stannis, bearing dire news from the wall. "The dead rise," he read aloud. "We march north," declared Stannis, "to aid the watch against this ancient evil." "Are you sure, my king?" asked Davos, loading supplies. "The Red Woman speaks of shadows." "The Lord demands," it replied. Melisandre, her eyes fixed on the fire, seeing visions of ice and death. Daenerys landed on Dragonstone, her forces swelling. "This is my birthright," she proclaimed to her followers. "We need allies," advised Tyrion. "Perhaps this Stannis can be reasoned with, or burned." "Send word to King's Landing," ordered Daenerys, "demand surrender or face fire and blood." Stannis received the Dragon Queen's demand. "She challenges me," he said, crumpling the scroll. "Fortify the city," commanded Stannis as alarms sounded, the shadow of dragons approaching. Jon Snow reached Stannis' camp. "We need your help against the others," he urged. "Together we'll face them," replied Stannis, clasping Jon's arm, forging an uneasy alliance. Daenerys soared over the bay, her dragons breathing fire on Stannis' ship's chaos erupting below. "Evade, you fools!" shouted Tyrion, directing the fleet wildfire exploding in the water. "Stand firm!" yelled Stannis from the walls as dragonfire lit the night sky. The Red Woman chanted, raising a barrier of flame that clashed with the dragon's breath. Far north, Jon led a charge against the Night King's army. "For the living," he cried. The Night King advanced, but Jon's blade met his sparks of magic flying. In King's Landing, Daenerys landed, facing Stannis yield the throne she demanded. "It is mine by right," retorted Stannis, his voice steady, the two claimants staring down. Perhaps a parley suggested Tyrion stepping forward before more blood spills. "Speak, dwarf," said Daenerys, her dragons growling low, ready to strike. "The true enemy is north," explained Tyrion. "White Walkers threaten us all." "He's right," agreed. "Stannis unite with me against the dead." Daenerys hesitated, then nodded. "For the realm," she said, extending her hand. At the wall, Jon defeated the Night King, shattering the ice with Longclaw's strike. News spread Jon returned to King's Landing, hailed as a savior by the people. With threats vanquished, Stannis ruled justly, the kingdom endures, he proclaimed. "We share the burden," added Daenerys, her presence ensuring balance in the court. "Two unlikely kings," toasted Tyrion, smirking as the hall filled with laughter. Jon Snow watched from the battlements. "Finally peace," he whispered to himself. In the north, Sansa governed wisely. The Starks remember she vowed to her people. Davos shared tales by the fire. "We've come far, my king," he said to Stannis. Melisandre slipped away, her purpose fulfilled, the Lord of Light satisfied. Years passed under Stannis' rule, the realm prospering in ways unforeseen. "My people," spoke Stannis from the balcony. "We have forged a new age." Daenerys watched her dragons, guardians of the peace indeed we have, she murmured. Tyrion penned the chronicles, "What if Stannis became king?" He wrote, chuckling softly. Jon ventured beyond, seeking new horizons. His watch ended at last. Sansa, reunited with kin, home is whole again, she said, embracing the future. In the end, the Game of Thrones found an unexpected victor, peace prevailing over chaos.